me, why did you have to change? How you look, how you sound, you been acting kinda strange. All of a sudden, you addicted to the fame. And I ain't saying no names, but you been messing with some lames. Never wanna talk about stuff that we go through. The way you give it up, ain't no getting to know you. They ain't even working for it, I feel like they owe you. That's why I'm hoping you would go back to the old you. When it come to material, you a mess. The chain not real, so tell me why you impressed. I heard your new man was even wearing a dress. Sorry, I'm not sorry for none of the disrespect. It's a shame, I remember when you used to be real. Now you fake it in a $3 bill, that's how I feel. The first thing I said the minute I got the deal, if I keep it real, I bet you she wanna chill.
Oh, it's cool that you're chasing the fame, but you promised me you never would change. Just a goddamn shame. Everything it seems so strange, it's like I barely even know your name. Barely even know your name.
You need to go back to the old you. You don't understand how I'm missing the old you. We supposed to be together for stuff that we go through, but it's a shame how I feel like I really don't know you. How come he always talking about how much he keep it real? Probably using the lean from when he washing down the pills. Got you thinking that you better if your body not real. He never paid dues, so what he can pay the bills? The internet got you thinking he been a threat. I be wondering, how come nobody ain't get him yet? He ain't got a problem using a gimmick to get a check, but I grind like nobody gave me my dinner yet. I'm trying to eat, that's all hungry people wanna do. Maybe we could travel the world, just me and you. Married to the game till we old like the school. Remember the honeymoon and how we spent it in the booth? Damn, why they lowered your self-esteem? Your heart easily broken like the iPhone screen. It's time to get back to being the king and the queen. If they think of breaking the team, then it's probably in a dream.
Oh, it's cool that you're chasing the fame, but you promised me you never would change. Just a goddamn shame. Everything it seems so strange. It's like I barely even know your name. Barely even know your name.
It's cool that you're chasing the fame, but you promised me you never would change. It's a goddamn shame. Everything it seems so strange. It's like I barely even know your name. It's a goddamn shame. Yo.
You need to go back to the old you. You don't understand how I'm missing the old you. We supposed to be together for stuff that we go through, but it's a shame how I feel like I really don't know you. You need to go back to the old you.
Thank you guys for watching. This is Hip Hop. Myself, DJ Miss V. We have a special guest joining us right now, Bakeman Global. What's really good?
Yeah. Yes. Can't stop Brooklyn. You already know. All day, every day. What up?
That's right, man. Brooklyn, you know what I mean? I remember,
Yes, sir.
I used to say, tell people, yo, we going to Brooklyn today, right? Their heart used to jump. I used to be like, yo, ain't nobody gonna mess with you, dog. You going to see family.
Yeah. Brooklyn is a bit intimidating or something, man. But it's a cool place, man. It's the best place in the world, man, to me.
Definitely a different place. Number one, I say it's a different planet.
It is. It is, man. Like, I mean, it's a whole movement in itself, man. Like you said, man, it's a lot going on in Brooklyn.
Tell us about Brooklyn as a youth for you, man.
Well, growing up in Brooklyn, man, you know, like everybody is, most kids are influenced by the street culture. You know what I mean? It's a lot of broken families. So as a young kid, you might gravitate towards the wrong things. You know, I grew up where a lot of my friends are just like me, single parent households. And, you know, it's been so long you could be held down before you start getting curious about what's out there. A lot of people, you know, they fell victim to the streets, but I was fortunate enough to, you know, experiment in my little bit of moments and still be strong enough to get out. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of people that don't make it out. But yeah, that influence is intriguing, man. People want to understand it. People want to be out there, man. You see certain individuals with nice cars and stuff like that, and nice sneakers and clothes, and if your parents can't get it for you, you know, you start being curious on your own. I grew up at a time where in school it wasn't no uniform, so you had to really go, you know, whatever your parents could get you. And because I didn't have a lot of the things that the other kids have, it made me an angry kid. I was always getting into fights. You know, a lot of people don't respond well to public criticism. So I was one of them kids that, you know, anytime, you know, I got cracked on or something like that, people, I wanted to fight. So after a while, you know, a couple friends of mine, you know, they introduced me to getting money. And I just started seeing how easy it was. And also that I could get some of the things that I wanted that I didn't have, that my moms couldn't give me. So, you know, growing up in Brooklyn, it was like, you know, once I started doing that, I became like the man of the house. You know what I mean? I was helping my family. I was helping my sisters. I was helping my moms. It was times where we was able to eat better. My moms did never like what I was doing, but, you know, it was all we had at the moment. But like I said, I was very fortunate enough to make a transition and get out. You know what I mean? I seen a lot of people fall to it. I lost a lot of friends to the street. And sometimes when you don't compete academically and you don't have an education to fall back on, the streets is all you know. You know what I mean? That's all that, like, it's not like, at the very least, you need a high school diploma to be able to have a job. And then depending on the college you go to, you have to compete with all of the major colleges that specialize in that major. So I went to a college that the number one major was marine biology, but I'm not majoring in marine biology. I'm majoring in business management. So now I'm going up against the criteria of all the top business management schools in the country when it comes to landing a job. So it's a lot of prestige and things that go along with the college that you gotta understand and when you go into school. So a lot of people can't do that. A lot of gentlemen I know to this day, older men and women that can't read or write the newspapers at an eighth grade reading level, and they can't comprehend it. They may be able to say the words, but they can't understand it. So what happens is that takes you into a cycle where you trying to do the easiest thing you could do to get money, and you're willing to take that risk because that's all you know. That's Brooklyn. That's everywhere. That's New Jersey. That's, you know, the five boroughs. Any ghetto that you go to, man, kids get caught up in that cycle. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, I tell a lot of kids, the decisions you make now at 12 and 13 will affect you for the rest of your life. I see homeless people all the time, and I'm always intrigued. I want to know what their story is. Like, did you burn every bridge that you could possibly have and help? How come you're out there by yourself? When you was younger, did you listen? You know what I mean? What type of education do you have? How come you're in a cycle where nobody wants to help you and you have to depend on strangers? So I tell kids, be very conscious of the decisions you make now. As a kid, you might think you're having fun, but one decision may affect the rest of your life and you may never recover.
You went to college, and we're gonna get into that, but was it like 1 foot in, 1 foot out?
Yeah, it was definitely 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then I noticed when I was living the street life, like I dropped out in maybe the 10th grade, but then I went back in maybe 3 or 4 years later to get my GED, and I passed it, and I went to prep school and then college. But when you in the street life, it was definitely 1 foot in and 1 foot out, because the street life starts to compromise your normal life. Like if I'm doing a graveyard shift, I'm out there hustling all night, I'm not going to be ready to function early in the morning.
Right.
Or if I'm doing a shift, if I'm hustling during the day, I'm obviously going to be missing school for the money. So it began. You're faced with a choice. You know what I mean? So I did all of that, and then after a while, you start seeing the money, and then you know you're falling back in your school, and then you just eventually stop going
Yeah,
because the money is there, you know what I mean? So I chose that for a period of time. I chose the money over the academics.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Um, so going back to school, getting your GED, and going into prep school, when did you find a love for basketball? Because we definitely want to touch on that, because that's what led you to go to college.
Yeah, yeah. When I was younger and I was in the streets, even when I was hustling, I've always had coaches that, like, it still was recreational for me. You know what I mean? I had coaches that were like father figures to me, and they used to always say, "Yo, boy, you can play, man. You good. You can probably make something of yourself." And as I'm hustling, I'm still listening to it, but it didn't switch on yet. So then one day, you know what I mean? I got caught. I got locked up, and I went to Rikers Island, and I said to myself, I said, "Yo, when I get out, if I get another shot at it, I'm gonna take it and run with it. So I was fortunate enough to come home and get a shot to go to school and listen to my coaches. Like I said, I had to pass the GED to go in order to go to prep school, and then I went on to college. I had a lot of dope colleges, but my coach, the late great Gil Reynolds, that coached at Longburg Prep, he was like a father figure to me. I understood who he was and what he meant to the basketball community. He responsible for putting a lot of players in the NBA, and I just trusted him. You know what I mean? I had bigger schools that I could have went to, but the college that I ended up going to, he was coaching there for 1 year. So he said, "Listen, if you come with me here, I promise by the time you leave, you will be a pro." And I listened to him and I trusted him. And I went to Long Island University of Southampton and the Hamptons, and it was just all downhill from there.
One thing that I admire is that you said, once I come home, I'm changing it up. And a lot of people don't do that. They fall victim because of the temptation. Did things get to a point for you where you were trying to do better in life, and then the temptation kind of crept its head into your thought process?
Yeah, well, obviously, like when I tried to get my life back on track, it was a lot of sacrifices that I had to make, and a lot of the fast money, it wasn't there anymore. But once I zoomed in and I said, "This is what I'm going to do," I made sure that I was prepared for it. You know what I mean? It was a lot of times when coaches and other people say, "Yo, listen, this is not you. You shouldn't be out there." But it took for me to have those experiences to understand it for myself. When I went to Rikers Island, you know what I mean? I got into fights and all that. And I said to myself, if I ever get out of here, I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back here. You know what I mean? So it was just a long journey to get back on the right track, and I was able to do it at the last minute when it didn't affect my adult life. So, of course, you know, you still hustling, and you, I mean, you still walking through the hood, and you see a lot of the fast money that you could have been getting, a lot of dudes that you was down with. Then, you know, I'm seeing a lot of them get killed, but I'm still focused. And I said, in order for me to make it, I have to go away to school. I told my coach, I said, I need to get out of here. And then it was just by the grace of God, like the Coach Reynolds, he was talking to another coach that knew me, and he said, you know what, I need somebody that could just flat out score. Like, I need somebody that could just, in any circumstance, could put the ball in the basket, just could score on anybody. He's like, I don't care if he a guard or forward or whatever. So my coach called me and said, hey, come down to the gym over here. You know, I got somebody I want you to meet. So when I went to meet him, he told me to do a few drills and I did it. And then he was like, all right, cool. And then when he walked away, he told my coach, this is my guy. He said, this is the guy I want. So once that happened, I immediately had to enroll for GED classes. I went to a school in East New York, Linden Learning Center, passed the GED in 2 weeks. I was still grateful that after being removed 3 years out of school, that I still was sharp enough to, you know, the GED is all 4 years of high school summed up in one test. And you gotta, you know, you gotta pass that. So I was able to pass that just from being in that program for 2 weeks. And it was crazy because the deadline that I needed to get it in for me to leave, that my GED came that day in the mail. I was upset. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't meet this deadline. I'm not going to be able to leave. And that day it came in the mail and I passed it, and it was on from there.
Wow.
See,
Yeah.
this is another reason why I'm happy that we're taking this journey, because a lot of young people need to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get to school, when you get down there, right after you go to prep school, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get it and you start playing, what kind of player were you? Were you more of a shooter? Were you more of a drive to the basket?
Well, if you know street ball, you know that like street ball is a lot of one-on-one. So me going into a school setting like that, I was fresh off the streets. I was raw. It was a lot of individual talent that I had, but I didn't have the smarts that I needed to have with getting the team involved. So I was just a goer. Like I averaged 38 points a game that year. I averaged 38 points a game. So it was a huge experience. I made the Slam magazine, but I was more like a combo guard because me being 6 feet, I'm really of the height of a point guard, but I was a combo because I was scoring. I was scoring a lot. Most of the time, your shooting guard is 6'6". So me being a scorer at this height, it was like they used it to their advantages, and I didn't really work on the stuff I needed to until I got like my second and third year overseas. Because then I went to college, they just let me go. Then I went overseas, and I started seeing that I was playing with 11 other really good players. So I had to understand, like my first 4 seasons overseas, I averaged 30 or more points, but we wasn't winning. We didn't have a winning season. Then I said to myself, when I worked out in the summer, I said, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna get people involved more. So then I started from 30 points, it went down to 26 and 11. I was averaging maybe 4 assists. Then I was averaging a double double and getting people involved. And then it lift the camaraderie and it lift the confidence of the team for me to be getting them involved. So I was always a scorer by nature. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be where I was at that time if I was just a pass first point guard. They just loved the fact that I was able to put the ball in the basket.
When you worked out, you came back to New York there, right?
Before I went to the Utah Jazz camp, when I was a senior in college, I finished my senior season. I finished sixth in the country in scoring. I led all divisions in basketball and free throw percentage. So I went to the Utah Jazz camp, and that summer I stayed in Long Island and I worked out because I knew where I was going. But a lot of times in the off season, my only regret from playing basketball overseas is when I when I had the opportunity to play in other countries, like if I'm playing in Australia and the season end, I was chilling. I was just relaxing. I was supposed to be going to other countries. I mean, I had contracts and I was supposed to be flying and moving, but I was just so comfortable that I just relaxed in the off season and worked out and then got ready for the next season. But outside of that, it was maybe 5 years I didn't come home at all.
Wow. What was
You
the
know,
name of the team out there when you was in Australia?
I played for the Seahawks. I played for the Warrnambool Seahawks. I played for the Waverly Falcons, the Melbourne Tigers, Ringwood Hawks. I played on a total of maybe 5 teams out of my 8 years,
Oh wow.
and four. I played. Matter of fact, I played on 4 teams in my 8 years because the first 4 seasons I just was with one team, and it was a country town, and after a while, I just was like, I got to move to the city. I
Yeah.
got to get to the city. I mean, so, and then, most of the time you're chasing the money and you're going with it, where it's exciting at. So I just had a great time, man. And then one of the seasons I played in Indonesia. I went on a tour throughout the whole Indonesia, Bali, Jakarta, all these places, and it was amazing. You know what I mean? Being out there and seeing how they love basketball. You know what I mean? American.
Yeah. What's interesting about you is that you have both dreams that a lot of kids would love. Either you're a basketball player or you're a rapper, and that's gonna take you out of the hood. You have either or. Even though the music came after you getting to see the world, I know it changed your mind, changed your way you thought, your thought process, the way that you interacted with people. How much of a culture shock was it for you entering into Australia?
Yeah, so like when you in Brooklyn, when you in New York and you go to nightclubs and stuff, they searching you and it's a real thorough pat down and you understand that because the way it is, somebody could be in there with a gun. So when I first went out in Australia, I was skeptical on going inside a venue because they wasn't searching.
Right.
So that lets you know that I was conditioned to think like that every place was like where I grew up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it wasn't. And it wasn't. So that was a way that it was, affecting me culturally, going to Australia. But then also I got to see that people were very nice. They were welcoming. I've known people for 20, 15, 20 years in America and not once got invited to dinner. But when I hopped off the plane, because they so intrigued and they saw a welcoming culture and the people are so kind, they just want to be around you and they want to understand who you are. It's also like when you go to their house for dinner, they consider it disrespectful if you don't eat what's in front of you. Like whatever they make, whatever they prepare for you, you have to eat. Like that's one part of their culture. Like they think that it's a negative thing. So I just had to tell them what I liked and things that I wasn't gonna try. That's the one thing they didn't like about me is that I don't try new things. I don't.
American picky.
Yeah, I'm not eating kangaroo. I'm not eating stuff like that. I just want the regular old chicken. Give me a hamburger here and there, like so. But outside of that, it was an amazing experience. And then when I came back and I told my friends in the neighborhood about the experiences that I had, it was like it was dope to be able to share those things with them. And then I was because of my influence, I was fortunate enough to get one guy. I changed his life and got him to be able to sign to a team over there because of who I was and the people I knew. So I said if I could help one person, and I was going to do it, and I've done it.
Do you feel like being in Australia and Indonesia has made you a better person than if you would have stayed here in America?
Um, well, I was always intrigued and versatile when it comes to living outside of New York. Like I had my first taste when I went to North Carolina. I lived there for a year and a half. Then when I went to the Hamptons, when I went to college, I was in a predominantly white college, but it still was 2.5 hours away. So I was close, but I was still far. I couldn't just be home like this, where you go into a community college and you're right across the street, or takes a train ride to get home. So that grew me up a lot too, being on my own and being in a dorm and have to be responsible for getting up, and also being around a lot of other cultures. It prepared me for when I went outside America. And then, like I said, being from New York, once I was successful in basketball in my college, we won a championship my senior year. I broke so many records, and then I had that chip on my shoulder. I knew I was a pro. I felt like I was a pro. When I went to the camps and I'm playing against every other top player in the country, I knew I was a pro. And for me, that like one of the most important letters in my scrapbook is getting a letter from agents from the NBA. So my problem to rap on me is that being small, my decision making on the court wasn't at NBA level. So if you're in a Utah Jazz camp and you coming into Utah, and that's the John Stockton culture where the point guards pass first because everybody else's their forwards is 6'7", 6'8". I was like Iverson. I was scoring and not getting people involved. So if I'm coming down on a 2-on-1, I'm supposed to make that bounce pass for a layup, but I was pulling up for the jump shot. It's a pick and roll, and I got the 7-footer on me, and I was making him look stupid instead of dumping it down to my man, my big man, because he got my guard on him. So they call that error of omission. So the agents was like, yo, your scoring ability is at NBA level, but we just want you to get on record your decision making and your team involvement, and then we getting you in the NBA.
Man, who are some of the people in New York that have a good name in this basketball thing that know what's up with you? Like,
yeah, every ball player that was anybody during my time, because like I said, I maybe like, I didn't play basketball in New York City tournament ball after 2013. I just chilled, and it was all about the music. But anybody from my time in New York City that was from my time know who I am and know and respect it. Like to this day, they still remembering stories. Like in Harlem, I had 76 points in the game. Like, and they stopped the game with like 3 minutes left, and I had 76 points. So like those stories are still being talked about today. Like it's like anybody that was from my time in the tri-state, New York City, as well as other states, they know.
definitely want to go back to Australia, because that's where you actually got introduced. Well, not introduced, but it made you say, damn, I got to get up in this rap game.
Yeah, so like I said, I may be like 6 or 7 seasons in, you know what I mean? And I had a doubleheader in the city called Melbourne, and I went and seen one of my friend Kid Mac. He was from Harlem. His dad was naturalized, and he was living out there for years already, and he was already into the music. I had a game, and that night I went to see his performance, and when I saw the reaction that a friend of mine had, I was immediately inspired to start writing and doing music. I said, yo, I could do it. Like, 'cause before when you're an athlete, a serious athlete in New York, you see the rappers, you understand who they are, but I never was inspired to be an artist while I was actually in New York City. But when I saw my man do it, I was like, this is dope. This is because I was already thinking about life after basketball. I was saying to myself, this is the game that took me all over the world. I like it, but I don't love it anymore like I should. Like, it's only 2 Americans to a team, and I was one of 2 people for the last 8 years. I was like, every year teams are trying to stop me. I got to add something new to my game, and I've done that. And I was like, the passion for it, I was like, I don't love it anymore. I started falling out of love with it. So I said, what's next? You know what I mean? What I'm going to do next? I kept saying to myself, what's next? And then that experience happened when I seen my friend, and I was like, I could do this. Like, there's even times where he stopped. He put the mic down. He don't rap no more, really. Like, I just kept going. I never gave up, and I was able. Like, it's a lot of people that some people have resentment because when I was an athlete, they were rapping, and they still rapping now. But now that I'm rapping, I've kind of passed a lot of people. All grind, just being relentless, being around the right people, learning from my mistakes, and just saying to myself, I'm going to finish what I started. I'm not giving up, adapting to the times, because that's what it was about. Adapted to life in various eras is the title of my project, because when I was moving through the era before, in my early days, it was the streets. I had to adapt to the streets. You know what I mean? I used my survival instincts to adapt to the streets. Then basketball was helping me navigate through that era. You know what I mean? I was an athlete, and I did what I had to do to survive during that time as an athlete, working out, staying on top of my game. Now, music is what's helping me adapt to this era. There's a lot of changes and things going on, and as music is changing, I'm adapting to those changes and staying relevant and keeping myself sharp and visible. So that's why I said, this is my first official project. I want to have a title that means something.
It's kind of crazy that people look at you and say, well, you know what I mean? I've been doing it for X, Y, Z, and he comes and he just jumped right over me. He springboard over me. I don't attribute it to, it's not fair. I look at it like this. You were supposed to do something great. You did something great, and you continue to do something great. It's just now you made a different turn, right? You're on a different journey. So if I'm doing music for 20 years and you come out, you just start doing it for 11 years and you surpass me, I got to look at your history. Well, where's this man? What did he do different from me? Oh, he was a professional ball player. Now, we all know that most ball players can't rap, but he can actually rap. So, so that's the cherry on top with the whipped cream. Then after that, he's been all over. So he knows how to diversify himself. He knows he's diverse in everything, even with his content. He's seen things. Then after that, it's the grind. So you put all of that together, nobody should be mad at that. Only person you could be mad at is yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or get close to you and say, yo, look, babe, I gotta ask you a question, man. Like, what is it that I'm not doing right? And that's all, just advice. Once they get that advice, they take it and they can solve with that.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly right. That's the thing I love about the history of me being an athlete and a musician, is that everybody understand and know that when I first started playing basketball, I was not the best. It was a long time before I got really good, but I wanted that shit more than a lot of people.
Yeah.
I wanted it more. I used to stay out at nighttime, and I used to shoot free throws at dark, 100 free throws, and I never made under 95. I never missed more than 5 free throws out of 100. And then my senior year, I led all divisions in free. So it just showed me that it's a symbol of if I worked for it, I would get it. I grew up in the era with Boogs, Charles Jones, Mel Tinsley, all the people that was from Brooklyn. I was never as good as them, but I still wanted it more, and I was able to see a lot of places that a lot of people that were talented at that time didn't get to see. And then the music too, hard work beat talent all day. Like if I've already passed a lot of people because not because I'm more talented than them, I just wanted more than
Yep.
Now you got this project alive, and you just gave us the acronym. You know what I'm saying?
them.
How did that come about?
Yeah. Well, I just, as somebody that made it through a few errors, man, I seen a lot of changes in life. And I understood that survival is more mental than physical. A lot of times, you got to really think about things and understand how to navigate through life, man, because you're only getting one shot. It's no do-overs. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of people, die because of misunderstandings and the way they communicate in language and shit escalate, and then next thing you know, somebody's dead. So with music being my love now, this is just how I'm surviving through this era. So I wanted to. I'm always going to try to. I'm always going to go for something with meaning every time. It's going to mean something. You know what I mean? So with this project, to put these 9 songs on it, because one is an intro. To put these 9 songs on it, I recorded 35. So I still got extra music and things, but I just felt like these 9 blended more better. You know what I mean? I had a lot of records that was similar with the boom bap sound, even though it's a different record. I said I don't need 2 or 3 of those records on the project. If I got sound like I don't need, you know what I mean? They don't want me to win. Like there's another record that's similar in that range. So I tried to make sure every record was a little bit different and it went to a different lane and I was still able to be myself and not lose any sleep over it. So I took you a few different places on this project, so I'm happy with it.
And so, as a listener, what do you want people to get out of your album? What's the message? What do you want people to know about you, or to be able to learn about you, or what's your message? What's your theme of this album?
All right, for people that already know me, the message I want to want them to get is that every time I present a project, I'm gonna peel back a new layer. I'm gonna tell you something different about. Like if you listen to the song "Where Were You," it's about my pops and how that relationship and not having them in my life, what that's done to me and how it's affected me to this day. In projects in the past, I've never gotten personal where I tell you a lot of personal things, some personal things about myself. So as I'm gradually getting in the game, I'm gonna peel back layers of things that I'm affected by, things that I've experienced and get you closer to me. If you just meeting me, my project, I want you to just see versatility. I want you to understand. I'm gonna take you to the trap. We're gonna go to the party. It's gonna be street records. It's gonna be uplifting records. It's gonna be pain in there. You know what I mean? I want you to. It's gonna be positive music. So I want you to understand that this is a body of work that's very versatile. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people get a body of work and they might put a lot of the same music on the project, and it might be some differences in the songs, but I wanted to, like, the people that love trap music, they might not like my real hip hop stuff, but I still had something on there for them. You know what I mean? So when you coming out and you haven't established your fan base really, like it's important for you to be versatile because you wanna grab as many fans from different lanes and stuff like that. So I said, all right, I need a record that I can compete with the Baby. I need a record that I can compete with J. Cole, something with Jay-Z, Casanova. You know what I mean? I need to be able to go in the club, Jadakiss. So I said, let me give you a little bit of, you know what I mean? Because those are all the fans that I need to snatch. If they ask me right now to open for an artist, I got something on that project for just about any artist I could open.
Nice.
The Baby, anywhere from the Baby to lyricists, I feel strong about snatching something from Alive, and I'll be comfortable with it. I don't have to say, "Oh, I'm in a mumble rap or a trap crowd, but I'm spitting lyrics, so they're not really gonna feel it." No, I got some party stuff, and I got some dope things that they're gonna vibe to because it's already been tested.
It's all a method. It's all a method.
Yeah, I was
all of method. All of method.
And I think that's what separates you from a lot of these independent artists is that some people like to just put music out. They don't realize that when you put a project together, it has to be a certain project. It has to say something, or it has to tell something, or it has to have some type of method, you know what I mean, method to it. So I think that's what makes you So you're very smart when it comes to things like that. You're very
And
educated.
you know what, you just reminded me of something that also I forgot to mention, is that like when you listen to a DJ play, when I listen to a DJ play music, I study the journey for a long time to understand that what he's playing may not be what he likes to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So sometimes when you're a DJ, you playing what you understand the crowd likes. So when I sat down with a lot of key DJs in my city, I was confident enough to give them 6 records and let them choose. I didn't say, yo, Drewski. I didn't say, yo, Drewski, this the record I want. I said, no, Drewski, let's listen to these 5. Which one do you like? Which one do you want to pick? Which one do you see yourself playing? DJ Will from Power 105. He loves certain records that he don't even play that kind of music, but it's the records that he loves. So that's the versatility in it. You know what I mean? I like to have so much versatility where I might say, yo, DJ Miss V, listen to the project. Which one you think you know what I mean? Which one you think you could back? Which one you think you like? You know what I mean? So that's I felt good about doing that.
Well, as a DJ, we appreciate that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people just give us a CD and be like, "Here, play this," and we like, what are we supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
So that's dope.
Yeah.
Think about
Always
the
got
DJ.
to think about the DJs. You do have a lot of substance in your music, and I guess it comes from just your background, your strategic thinking, and more or less you wanting to compete with. I want to say with an elite class of MCs and artists and creators. Period. You know, and I hear that in the music. One joint, the one with the Hamiltons. Tell the people how that one came about and the concept behind it.
Yeah, man. The old you featuring Grammy nominated soul trio, the Hamiltons. So shout out to them. It got kicked off starting with my guy Sean D from Touching Money Daily. He was a mutual entity in between both of us, and he managed them for a long time. So he said, you know what, I think y'all will sound good on a song with Bake. And then he got the instrumental from Slick Music. He said, see what you come up. And immediately when I heard it, I gravitated towards it, and it connected with me right away. And I wrote the record, and it was all on from there. Like they loved it, they loved the concept. They went in the studio in North Carolina and banged it out and got it back to me, and I got it mixed and mastered. And by the actual guy that mixes and masters their music, because I said, because you guys are singers, I want the sound to be consistent. I wanted to stay with who you guys feel like, you know, somebody new might grab your vocals and bring them up too high. I wanted to stay in the pocket of what y'all feel like y'all sound is. So I sent it to their guy. And once I sent it to their guy, that's been my guy ever since. He mixed and mastered my whole project because he's just really dope at what he do. So shout out to LaFell. But yeah, it was basically quarterbacked by, you know, my brother T Banks. One half of the owner of Guardsville is related to the Hamiltons, been in their life forever. So, you know, they understand that I'm a new up and coming artist, and it was a huge benefit and boost for my first single to be with a Grammy nominated group. That don't happen that often. People don't work with Grammy nominated or Grammy award winning producers and artists until later on in their career. I got the chance to do it first out the gate. You know what I mean? And it's a dope record. I feel like it's nowhere near hit the ceiling. Um, I just gotta, you know, market it a little bit better, because when you got a distribution deal, people know that when you got a distribution deal, you still got to work your ass off. It's a partnership. It's a perfect deal for somebody like myself that's not well known, where I still own my masters, I own my publishing, we split everything 50-50, and I'm not locked into that contract. I could talk to other labels. Distribution deal is more of a partnership. So coming out the gate, being under a deal like that, where a lot of people don't understand that when you sign and you get in advance, you got to pay all of that back before you even see any money. You know what I mean? So artists that get those big advance because of what the labels feel like you're gonna do, they give you the advance, and then if your record or your project doesn't live up to that advance, you're stuck. You know what I mean? You gotta pay that money back before you can move on. So I felt like for somebody like me, being signed to Para Music Group, distributed by Sony Orchard, that was a huge advantage. I'm in control of my own destiny. I can bring 9, 10 joints up to the table. They can't say, yo, we don't like this or we don't like that. And I was just lucky that they loved everything that I brought to the table. You know what I mean? So it's just on from there.
No doubt. What's dope is tell us about that video and where'd you guys shoot the video?
We shot the video actually in New Jersey. I don't remember where in New Jersey, but I know that they shot a couple videos that day, and they was like, "Yo, babe, you know, we shooting videos. We're gonna be in New Jersey. Come down and let's squeeze yours into it too." And then, you know, I came down, and it was just on from there. They was really dope because, you know, they in the Carolinas and they've been on tour, so for them to hit me and find a way to squeeze it in, I thought was very dope, and it was huge for me. Like, you know, I've been rapping for a minute, but I'm so new to it. You know what I mean? I'm not a recycled artist that had a chance and lost and blew it, and now I'm looking for a second. So I'm really fresh out the gate with the grinding I've done. You know what I mean? To like a lot of my friends, I'm at an advantage that with a lot of artists that are independent. If they drop a project and I drop a project under Para Music Group, under my distribution, mine's will have a lot more reach. So I had my fair share of dropping projects under just my fan base. And now that I'm under the situation, I see where the streams and I see where most of the activity is people in Singapore, New Zealand. Like I'm seeing where I'm getting the love from. You know what I mean? So it's huge.
Yeah. That's super dope. And they was yoking up some dude. Like, what was that dude? Was he like the metaphor?
Yeah, he was the metaphor. Yeah, that was my man Kenny. That's actually the other owner from Guardsville.
Okay.
That was my man dude. Yeah. So it was the metaphor was like, yeah, we don't like you messing with some lames. You know what I mean? Like if you listen to the song and you break down each bar, it's all about how I feel about hip hop. And my man Kenny stepped up and played that part really well. You know what I mean? So
tell us a little bit about Guardsville real quick. Just touch on that real quick.
Yeah, Guardsville, man, they came up with a brand that was very universal. It doesn't have a ceiling on it. No matter what religion you are, everybody has a God. There's no face on it. Everybody feel for all kinds of religion, walks of life. They feel comfortable in this brand. Religious people, you know, street people, everybody live in Guardsville. Like it was just a dope spin on where we all from. Like if we on this planet together, we all in one race. Everybody's human. There's no boundaries. So we all living under God, you know what I mean? So I thought it was a dope brand. The message that it sends, it promotes equality. It doesn't believe in sectioning off people and you over there because you're this. Every kind of person and every kind of religion has been in this brand. So my brothers that I've, you know, they've been in my life forever. I said to myself, like, you know, I told you before, you know, if anybody understand what LL Cool J did for football, if I've been wearing a bunch of millionaires, Nike, Puma all my life, I could promote my brother's brand. You know what I mean? And then with hip hop and fashion go hand in hand. So it was a beautiful situation for both of us. Me coming up as an artist, being able to be outfitted and have a brand that backs me, and also for them to be able to get brand awareness through me wearing it at shows and interviews and things like that. It was just a dope combination, you know what I mean? So shout out to my brothers at Guardsville.
No doubt. And what you think about, you know, what's been going on with this George Floyd situation and these protests?
Yeah, I'm thinking a whole bunch of things, but right now, like I said last night, they got crazy down by the Barclays Center, you know, the riots and stuff like that. But also at the same time, I want us to have constructive solutions on what we're gonna do. For example, in Atlanta and various places, like they've burned down black businesses. You know what I mean? Now it's black people that's on the front line that believe in the cause and that really feel what we feel in. So how you explain to them that their business got burned down? You know what I mean? But then again, how do you differentiate what you're gonna burn down? And like I told somebody today, I said, tearing up your own neighborhood in a situation like this, I know it has been happening in the history in the past, but tearing up your own neighborhood is no different from when you being on the phone and somebody on the other line make you so angry that you throw your phone, you break it, and then you break up everything in your house. Then it's like, what's next? you just destroyed everything in your house because you're that angry, but you got to live there. You know what I mean? So I just want us to find a way to, like, with us going through this and putting our foot down, we supposed to take a stance, but try not to suffer as much as we are. You know what I mean? Like that, those black businesses, you know, they struggle to, you know, fight with corporate businesses and stuff like that. Now their businesses are burnt down and you burning down your neighborhood. But then there's also another twist. I've been reading a lot where people are saying that there are white supremacists in the middle of these riots that are starting these things. There are actually white supremacists blending in with the people, and they're causing an uproar and starting these things. And this, so it's like it's a lot of different spins on it. Like you know, you don't know what's going on, but I just want people to understand. Like my standpoint on it was like real quick. I think this is a perfect time to promote Black unity. I think this is a perfect time to talk about not hurting each other. This is a perfect time to understand what we up against and why we need to stick together. Sometimes, you know, I put up a post about, you know, what we do to each other, and people are really like saying to me, yo, this not the time for this. Yes, it is the time for this, because if you understand what we up against and what we about to be involved in, us against them, how come when somebody in the neighborhood get killed, we don't have this same type of energy? Is that life not worth the same thing? Like because we did it to each other, are we supposed to accept it? Nah, I'm challenging all of the gang members, the Bloods and Crips. I'm saying you don't have to be out there starting stuff, but if they see a sea of blue and a sea of red out there taking a standpoint from the very same reason why the gang started, was to combat against police brutality, you could take a stand. If they see your presence is in the neighborhood, you coming together and letting them understand that we unifying. This is the very same reason why you started the gang, so you could be out there on the front lines. We're not saying start stuff and go at the police, but let them see all that blue and let them see all that red out there, and that we coming together. Like, and that will show that we sick of what we do to each other and we not having it no more.
Absolutely.
You know, that's just how I feel about it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't condition somebody on how to treat you and you showing them how you treat yourself. Like, you showing them how you treat each other. We should be able to tackle this together. I'm not saying ignore what they doing. I'm saying let's combine what we doing and fix it all. That's my standpoint. I don't, by no means am I saying get rid of and because people think when I bring that up that I'm trying to change the subject and I'm trying to take it away from what's the police are fucking up. Yes, we know the police are fucking up, but while we fixing that, let's fix this. Mm-hmm. This supposed to be untouchable. When is black skin gonna be untouchable? This is like we see, you know, white people moving in our neighborhood. They walk down the street all kinds of times at night. But if I walk down the street and I'm passing a group of brothers, they looking at me like I'm crazy. In my own neighborhood. It shouldn't be like this. Should be untouchable. We already know what we up against, you know what I mean? So that's my standpoint on it, bro.
Mm-hmm. Just to segue into making a difference and leading by example, tell us about your company. Your problem is our problem.
Yeah, man, I launched Your Problem is Our Problem as just, you know, a foundation to facilitate a solution to any problem that young men and women might go through in urban neighborhoods. And I'm starting off with a musical program that's an 8-week pass-fail where I'll go in and teach them everything from writing clean bars to being able to use, you know, different words instead of cursing and express themselves. And it's going to be a pass-fail course where at the end, they will perform their pieces or whatever they worked on in front of the friends and family. And it's also promoting teamwork and letting you understand how the music industry might be, you know what I mean? Even if we get edgy and we curse sometimes, I want them to be able to have both, you know what I mean? I want them to be able to flex their pen and be versatile enough to where if somebody say, yo, I want you, like I love when I get the calls to be in the community events. A lot of artists in my bracket don't get those calls. I get those calls to perform at community events where it's a bunch of kids around, older people, and you gotta really have that message and really have music that doesn't have any curses or suggestive music, lyrics. So that's what YPO, I think we need to get back to it takes a community to raise a kid. When I was coming up, my neighbor was able to check me. If I was out of line, my neighbor would say, "Yo, what you doing?" But nowadays, it's like, you know, if a grown up check a kid, that kid's parent is mad. They upset. Why you talking to my kid like that? Or why you mind your business? So we got away from that because in our neighborhoods, you can't do it all by yourself. You, as a parent, you are faced with obstacles and things that you might need assistance from. I don't want to go into community centers where they just pull out the checkerboard and say, I want programs in there. I want things that's going to matter and things that they're going to be able to use in their life later. You know what I mean? So that's why I created this program. I'm going to have all kinds of programs where we're going to be in there uplifting the young women that's coming up, changing their way of thinking and the understanding of what they seeing on the internet and not letting that influence them. I'm going to be having workshops also for parents on how to cope when you get overwhelmed with, you know, things that you may not be able to handle on your own. So it's going to be a huge umbrella underneath this. Your problem is our problem. I'm excited for it.
I commend you for that because a lot of people are doing it and they're not talking about it. And there's some people who aren't doing it, but they're talking about it, right? So I guess what you're doing is you encompass both. You know what I mean? Once again, it's that versatility that you have. But I definitely want to thank you definitely for joining us, giving us this interview and sitting with us. I want you to give the people all of your social media, let them know where to find you, to contact you if they want to help out with the program, with your organization, and also where they can, if they want some features.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, Bakeman Global on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, all of that is Bakeman Global. www.bakemanglobal.com. It's stuff up there, bakemanglobalmusic@gmail.com for all inquiries. And there's just I'm able to be reached, man. And follow my page, YPO Problem. That's the page that I have that's, it's starting to warm up. And, I hope y'all look forward to me being in a school or rocking with your kids in the future. Because most of the time you hear about what people making a difference when they're already famous. It's sometimes it seems like it's a publicity stunt or they may be doing it to gain a certain position with fans and stuff like that. But I believe ever since I was in college, I've been involved in Big Brother programs and stuff like that. I believe that, and there was a lot of programs that I was in that made a difference in my life, and I still remember them now. So I want to plant that seed, and I want to get these things going and just be an influence in my community. That's why I do career days and stuff like that. It's very important to show your face and give back. And now that my voice is getting bigger, I feel like this is the time for it.
Whatever you need from us, man, we're here. We're definitely here because we like your vibe, we like your grind, and we like what you stand for. So we definitely salute you.
Thank you, man. It really means a lot. I appreciate you guys opening your platform for me, man, and I'm looking forward to connecting and building in the future, man. Salute to Miss V, man. Salute to you as well, my bro. I appreciate y'all.
No doubt, no doubt. Go listen to Bakeman Global's music. Once again, thank you, and we appreciate you, man.
Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good one, man, and I'll talk to y'all soon, man. Y'all have a good one.
No doubt.